because it's important for our national security, it's important for jobs, and that's one of the best ways to drive down inflation.
Governor DeSantis. Governor
DeSantis, this question is for you. Our voters enacted a constitution. Wrong. They voted it in. That's what we did. Onshore, we do it in Florida, and we don't have as much as maybe West Texas, but we do it. But that was a constitution. So that's just wrong. And let's just get real here. My plan will get the job done. We are going to be energy dominant, and that's what's going to happen.
The voters didn't even vote on it.
Moving on with this.
This woman needs to go.
We cannot talk over each other. We must respect each other's time.
I'm ready, Stu.
Governor DeSantis, this is your question. The Biden administration is hell-bent on student loan forgiveness, but you say colleges should be on the hook when graduates cannot pay their debt. How does that address the cost of college? The cost of college itself?
Because the colleges are going to have to make a decision. Do we expand the gender studies department, knowing some of those graduates may not have great learning opportunities? No, they're going to focus on the things that really matter. They're going to make different choices. They're going to try to graduate people in 4 years. I also just want to come back to something Dana asked last segment about 9/11, because I was just at the 9/11 memorial with the families. My wife and I were. It was very touching to be there, and it affected my life because I ended up joining the military as a result of that. I've been a blue-collar kid, minimum wage in Dunedin, Florida. I ended up getting through Yale and Harvard Law School and somehow came out more conservative than when I went in, and that is not easy to do. Had a lot of opportunities to make money, but I wanted to serve, and I'll never forget coming back on the plane from Iraq, landing in Coronado, California, North Island, and feeling that breeze off the Pacific Ocean and say, you know what? I am lucky to have been born an American, and I think being able to serve, and I'll be the first president elected since 1988 who's actually served overseas in a war. I think that's going to help me as commander-in-chief to know how you see these issues and understand that there are real lives at stake for people that wear the uniform.
And we know that Governor Haley's husband is serving right now as well, and we thank him for that. Senator Scott, the national debt has nearly doubled in your time in office. The approval rate for Congress is at a mere 19%. If this were a business, you'd probably all be fired in Washington, but you're here tonight looking for a promotion. In 2013, Governor Haley hired you for the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted to CEO of the nation instead of her.
Certainly. One of the things I'd say is if you look at our national debt of $33 trillion, I would love to have an opportunity to have this country pass a balanced budget amendment. That would constrain the spending in Washington in the same fashion that it does in every state in our nation, number one. Number two, if you want to actually reduce our national debt, you have to grow our economy. In order to grow our economy, you need to create about 10 million jobs to grow our economy at 5%. You can do that in three specific sectors. Number one, the energy sector. We could create between 3 and 3.5 million jobs if we unleashed all of our energy resources. America is we're the richest country if you combine coal, gas, and oil. Why not unleash all of our resources? Number two, we've lost 100,000 factories. 100,000 factories in the last 25 years. If we continued on our Made in America plan, we could bring jobs back to America in a similar fashion that we did when I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We actually lowered the corporate tax from 35% to 21%. Reshored or repatriated $1.7 trillion. We brought the unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians to the lowest level in the history of the country, and a 70-year low for women.
Governor Haley, would you think you would deserve the promotion?
I think, look, I appreciate Tim. We've known each other a long time, but he's been there 12 years and he hasn't done any of that.
Oh.
They've only given 4 budgets on time in 40 years. He was part of that. He increased the national debt. He voted for the spending. He has made sure that the borders are open. They haven't done anything. 12 years. Where have you been?
Whoa. See, this.
Here's what you've done. Ron, let me finish.
All these guys have said, and I appreciate a lot of the things they're saying. I'm the only one up here who's gotten in the big fights and has delivered big victories for the people of Florida. And that's what it's all about. You
Just ask Disney.
When it gets hot in there, when they're shooting arrows at you, are you going to be stand up for parents' rights, keep the state free? Are you going to be able to do all those things? And in the state of Florida, because of our success, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. We have won the big fights. We have turned our state into a Republican state. People respond to leadership. I've done it while others have talked about it.
The CEO. If I may just interject on zero-based budget, that's the way businesses are actually run. Start with zero as the baseline for the budget, and then see what's actually necessary. There isn't a blue state or a red state in this union that doesn't. The federal government doesn't do it. But successful companies, including the ones that I've built as a CEO, will do it. I'm the greatest CEO in the White House to make that done. Yes.
Maybe that's the only guy that's going to check. If you have energy questions, you don't ask anything, but I'm just going to say right now, when you say nobody else has done it, the energy plans that have all been announced in the last month by these other folks on stage, we're already doing it in North Dakota. The border plans that we talk about, we've got troops down at the border flying helicopter missions from North Dakota, from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop transnational criminal organizations from inflicting the invasion and the mass casualties in our state. And on the energy policy, we're already doing it. It's not saying nobody else done the folks. North Dakota was leading the charge. We won the battle to get the Biden administration was ignoring the law. They were the first administration since Truman that wasn't holding the fully required lease sales, and we won that in federal court. Notice, we won that in federal court. We're fighting the Biden administration on 20 fronts.
Yeah, the Let's Go Brandon administration.
Look at the record of what we're doing right now. Energy, economy, national security have been talking about it since day one, and now finally, good, we're having a conversation about it, but we got the answer in North Dakota.
Governor Brother, let's talk big government. His question's for you. Big government keeps getting bigger. What if the all new jobs this year have been created by the government? Governor Bergen, you say you want to shrink the size of government. It has been a century since any president has done that. Why would you be any different?
Well, because we've done it in North Dakota. When I took office, we shrunk the state budget general fund by 27% in the first 4 months I was office, and all the trains kept running on time. Why? Because you had a business leader that was actually there. Inside of every government job, there's 10 or 20% of mind-numbing, soul-sucking work that even the state and federal employees don't want to do, and you could engineer that work out of the job. That would free up right there 20% of 2 million civilian employees. And by the way, we've got 10 million jobs open. They'd have plenty to do, and they could be generating taxes instead of being paid by taxes. This is totally possible to do it if you have somebody that understands. Because having worked in technology for 30 years, everything we had to do was to be better, faster, and cheaper the next day. That's what we can do in government. That's what we're doing in North Dakota.
All right, Governor DeSantis. I want to ask you about something that I think is on a lot of Republicans' minds. This election could come down to less than 50,000 votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in
Here we go.
2022. Republicans lost all of them. Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot in Arizona. That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going to win over independent, pro-choice voters in Arizona?
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5 million votes. We were winning places like Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, that nobody thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining his comments to try to say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing.
Okay, no. Yeah, gotta stop it right there because
I was at, my wife and I earlier today, were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan. And
I'm sorry. But DeSantis, you would not have won the governor in the state of Florida if it wasn't for Donald Trump supporting you. Supporting you, Mr. Santos. So let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. Now, I'm going to say this for a fact. Mr. Santos would not be governor if it wasn't for Donald Trump. Now, we all listen to this woman. Oh, there goes Christy. Oh, come on. All right. Blake,
The fight the way it should be then. And in fact, is, look, I was governor here of
why is the change stopping? Really? All right, let me get this thing working.
the only blue state that's represented.
I'm sorry, I'm having problems with this. Give me a second.
Presented up here. This is where the fight is really tough for Republicans, and those are the states that we're going to have to try to win if we're going to win the White House back. And what we did was 14 times, Dana, in 8 years, I vetoed Planned Parenthood funding. 14 times. No one else gets it that much. The Democrats just kept sending it to me, and I kept saying no because I believe in life, but I also believe in states' rights. And I think we fought hard against Roe versus Wade for decades to say that states should make these decisions. So we're going to have those fights in the states. What we need is a leader who can talk to people and make them understand that if you're pro-life, you have to be pro-life for the entire life, not just the 9 months in the womb. And we talked a lot about fentanyl tonight, and we haven't spoken one moment about treatment. But we need to make sure that for the drug-addicted 16-year-old on the Florida county lockup, her life is precious too. And we need to be providing treatment to cure this as a disease that it is. If you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life for the entire life. We start talking like that, they're going to do what I did in the blue state, which was get reelected with 61% of the vote and won 70% of independents and 51% of Latinos because I told them the truth from my heart.
Christie left New Jersey in the utter ruins of the Republican Party, and there was 2 statewide Republican conventions.
Yeah.
Or is being hostile toward them, the Hispanic community. Only Governor.
Oh, okay, really?
Translated his campaign into Spanish. How will you reach out to Latino voters?
Well, I promise you that we're going to continue to build bridges to every community in this country. And I'm incredibly proud of that. Tax cut and tax reform bill. I worked on Capitol Hill to help get that bill passed into law. Largest tax cut in American history. We saw literally the lowest unemployment ever recorded for Hispanic Americans, the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans, 50-year low for women. So I think the President of the United States needs to be a champion for the American dream for every American. It begins with the unborn and the aging, the infirm. And it begins with every ethnic group in this country. And I promise you, if I'm President of the United States, I'll be a champion. I'll be a champion for the American dream, for Hispanic Americans, and for every American. So help me God.
Senator Scott, your reaction?
Yes, there's no doubt that if you lead by example, it's the best way to get the job done. To look at my office in the Senate, my chief of staff is the only Hispanic female chief of staff in the Senate. I hired her because she's the best, highest qualified person we have. What we need are leaders who lead by example. And I will simply say, I would love to finish my conversation with Nikki as it relates to the job that needs to get done. Nikki offered a 10% gas tax increase in South Carolina. Talk about someone who has never seen a federal dollar she doesn't like. 10 cents on this gallon in South Carolina. As the UN ambassador, you literally
Bring it.
put $50,000 on curtains and a $15 million subsidized location. Next.
You got bad information. First of all, I fought the gas tax in South Carolina multiple times against the
Just go to YouTube.
Against the establishment.
Just go to
And you
YouTube
want to know what
and
that
see
10%, when they wouldn't pass the gas tax, the establishment, the companies wanted me to do it so much that I said, the only way I will,
Here's what you have to
if
do.
you
All
will
you
give us
have to do-
3,
All you have to do is go
If you
watch
will give-
Nikki Haley on YouTube.
if you will give me 3 times the deduction in income tax, then I will look at your gas
You
tax.
said
which is
yes.
why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
On the 50
Here's a nice part.
Secondly, on the curtains, do your
Yes.
homework, Tim, because Obama bought those curtains.
Did you send them back?
It's in the,
Did you send them back?
it's the State
Did you
Department.
send them
Did
back?
you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
No, that's a-
You get it.
You hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed. You
Here's-
were scrapping.
Here's here's a time note.
Are we talking about this? Are we talking about curtains? Commercial break. We'll have more of the second Republican debate live from the Reagan Presidential Library in just a few moments.
Yes, they were talking about, and yes, Nikki Haley raised the gas prices in her own state. She admitted that. It's on YouTube. Nikki Haley is not qualified to be president. I'm sorry, but she's not. This is a woman that interrupts everybody. Nikki Haley is not qualified. Nikki Haley is not qualified to run dog catcher. I'm sorry, but no. She's not 100% pro-life. Yeah, so so anybody attacks her, she just goes off just like a typical woman. I'll get in trouble for that. Let's see. She cut it out.
Coming up on 8,000 votes already, and it looks like Nikki Haley is running 39%. The next person, or the next two people, are Chris Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Unbeat. So I went to this guy. I forget his name. Ryan Tower called.
In this channel, I do appreciate it. So we'll leave this poll up for just another minute. We're coming up on 10,000 votes in this poll, and it does look like Nikki Haley is the runaway winner here. With Chris Christie now taking a taking a second place lead. All right, coming up on 10,000 votes here. Nikki Haley still at 40%, Christie still at 23%, Vivek at 22%, Ron DeSantis at 15%. That's our real-time final debate poll. And thank you, by the way, for the...
So I just found my entire apartment clean for $19. Seriously.
Sorry about that commercial. Sorry about that commercial. I had to play the commercial. Skip ads. Let's see.
To Vivek is a line that helps her. My inclination is to say that yes, when you are running in the Republican primary, a party that has largely consolidated around someone like Donald Trump, and you say a line like that every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber. I can't help but imagine that that's going to help you with the Republican primary base. Not that I think Nikki Haley is going to peel off any Trump supporters per se, but perhaps those primary voters who aren't supporting Trump right now, she does look more and more like a more viable option than, for example, Chris Christie, who seems to only exist in the context of being able to attack Donald Trump. So I think Nikki Haley is probably making more of an affirmative herself than someone like Chris Christie would be. But again, if you haven't yet voted, make sure to vote in the poll. To be able to vote, make sure to subscribe. That is how you're able to vote in these polls. I would like to hear what you have to say. We're at 11,000 votes. Let's get it to 15. This way I feel like that is somewhat more definitive.
Let's see here.
So if you haven't yet voted in the chat, make sure to hit the subscribe button and then
I'll go ahead and
place your vote. Right now, Nikki Haley is in first place with 40%, then Chris Christie with 23%, Vivek with 22%, and finally Ron DeSantis at 15%.
Yeah, so, it's just one of those things you got to figure out. Sorry about the light.
I'd also be very curious to see whether Chris Christie's Donald Duck attack is going to stick. Man, I think the saddest thing to come out of our political just world these days is the fact that now we are stuck with nicknames. Grown-ass adults hurling nicknames at each other. It's like these people have finally discovered the concept of alliteration. And so now we have to listen to Donald Duck and Meatball Ron, which isn't even alliterative, but alas, that's where we're at these days.
Mm-hmm. So,
All right, we are coming back again. If you're not yet subscribed,
All right,
please
here we go.
subscribe and vote in this final poll to let me know who won this debate.
And welcome back to the final minutes. I could go another hour, but we only have a few minutes. And candidates, it's now obvious that if you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination. None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds, starting now. Of the people on the stage,
What?
who should be
I'll
I'm
decline to
absolutely
do that with
serious.
all due respect. I mean, we're here,
don't
like,
do that.
we're happy to debate. I think that that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody
Oh,
wants to.
come on.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Let me ask you something. Then if you won't answer that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
What is your mathematical path,
Yes.
Governor DeSantis, in order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race?
So polls don't elect presidents, voters elect presidents. And we're going to take the case to the people in these early states. We're going to do it in the state by state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost 3 straight elections in a row. We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida, it didn't. We delivered it in Florida. And so we've got to choose right. We've got to win. And we need somebody that's going to be able to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get that job done.
Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something. Governor Christie, I believe, excuse me, Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something on the card.
No, no, but I'll certainly tell you.
Okay.
Look, I think I've been the only one on this stage who's been clear about this.
Uh-oh.
I vote Donald Trump off the island right now. And the reason I voted off the island,
Oh boy.
no, because you know what? Every person on this stage has shown the respect for Republican voters to come here.
Okay. All right. So it looks like we're running out of time. Why is this? All right. My thing is not working. Give me a second. Mute. All right, I'll mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's been one of those days and you just can't figure out what you want to do. I'm going to end this real quickly, but yes, I should have did a whole debate. I did half of it. I mean, it's a third of it. And my final results, the winner of the 2024 election is Donald John Trump. I gotta go.